Okay guys, we're in the gym doing some special like club speed exercises, and you gotta really try to swing like that way to the right and keep that foot like to the other side, like, and then yeah, grab that and go like this. So this is the number one exercise for 10 miles an hour more club speed. The number one asked question is about fitness. So the number one actual question is, what muscle is the most important muscle in golf? And I'm always like, I thought that's common sense, that there's like no one muscle that's the most important one, because it's a full body motion. Everything's incorporated when you're swinging a golf club. So I figured like, people might know, should know. So let's go through all my basic stuff that I do in the gym when, well, call it train for speed, call it train for golf, call it train to stay healthy. Actual speed, or the actual speed being created, doesn't come from work in the gym predominantly, but it's coming from hitting with maximum intent and do speed training. But when you have a weak body, your body won't tolerate the new speed and won't give you the new speed. So it's more of a, let's call it prerequisite to actually do speed training and actually get faster. So the most important bits, I said this before, but again, is the very basic compound exercises. So let's start off with the first one, that is a pull-up, working on your back muscles. And it's not too much about the exercises you do, but it's more about how you perform these exercises. So when you want to go for speed, I would recommend you guys out there. I'm not a fitness professional, right? I'm not a physio. I'm not a strength and conditioning coach. I just tell you what I do in the gym. So this is a pull-up, and what I always try to do, and this goes back to my bodybuilding times, is actually use the muscle you want to use for that particular exercise. So right here, it would be the lats, or like the whole back, but predominantly the lats. So what we try to do is, at the very bottom of the exercise, and when we're down here, at the full stretch, what I want to do is, I want to pre-contract like this. Look, my arms are not moving yet. I want to pre-contract the lats to then pull up. So what does that do? That ensures that you're actually using a lot of your lats for that motion. Obviously, a lot of help muscles are involved and stuff, but I want to use those lats to actually fire up. And the way I do this is, I try to perform this explosively. What does that mean? So that motion of like stretching, contracting, like pre-contracting, and then squeeze up, in the meanwhile for me is a very fluid motion. But when you do this in the very beginning, might be a good idea. You really use this like stretch, then full contraction of the lats, and then pull up. Yeah, it might make sense. But when I do it, it looks a little bit like this. So I really try to make it a very, very explosive motion upwards on a concentric motion up. And then, if I really want to go after it in one session, and I feel like I don't have to be fast the next like 3 days, I try to go down on a very controlled eccentric, something like this. I actually do most of this during the winter times. The closer the season gets, the closer I am to actually peaking throughout the season, the more explosive my training gets and the heavier my training gets and the less volume and the less reps I do. So this is one of the first exercises. Pull up, definitely very, very recommended. Then let's do, in my opinion, the most important exercise, and that is a squat. So actually what I do when I squat, so I don't try to put any weight on here actually, because I want to show you how it's actually done. Also, weight training in the very beginning is not too much about the weight. It's about how you move it, and I mean, obviously you want to be challenged, you want to feel something, but there's no real difference between moving 150 kilograms or 130 kilograms. The way you move the weight is way more important, and how you move the muscle is way more important, how you actually use the muscle. So right here, squat, let's go. So what I do is, when I set the bar, I like the low bar, like this. I don't like the high bar too much, in my opinion. I like the low bar because it really locks everything in. I've been mentioning that in one of the Regicy videos as well with Hogan. And then what I do is when I go down, try to keep my knees, not go inwards, but rather outwards. So move down like this, and then boom, explode up. And also keep those knees like pushing out rather than going in. So it's more like that. Lower body. Then same thing when I'm performing squats. The exercise most related to that is probably deadlifts. Let me show you that with a kettlebell. Because you can do that with a barbell as well, or a hex bar or whatever. There's a lot of different ways with advantages and disadvantages to do this, but let me do it with this. And also there, what I do probably best is to show you from the side. It's an explosive motion. Also, the weight is almost at the center of my body. I grip down and then I contract my traps first. So I go back and then move up. So actually this like pulling motion in the very beginning locks everything in the back, and it's actually a full body motion, especially with the posterior chain. So you go down, then lock it in and boom, explode. That's what it's all about. And then boom, explode. Very important. So the way you perform the motion is super, super important, because the golf motion is also a very explosive motion, and we actually want to get those neurons, that CNS, and eventually the muscles firing. So that's definitely one thing I can recommend as well. Then, most related to that is probably the kettlebell swing. What I love to do with that is finding the transfer to the golf swing by actually using the ground or pushing into the ground to create a counterforce to that weight flying forward. So let me show you. I always set up like this, so that weight is actually a little bit in the back, then grip down and swing up like easy. Go like this, and then what I want to do is I want to move the weight by my hips firing forward. And how are my hips firing forward? Because my feet are interacting with the ground. Look at this. I never do more than 8 reps. In general, also not on this. So 8 reps for me is the maximum. Then next one would be, let's do a couple shoulder presses. So I personally like the shoulder press from the backside right here. And I mean, you can do that strict, right? Like this, like just going up and down, moving your shoulders, working on those. Yes, you can, but especially towards the end of a set. And I want to do a maximum of 8, better 6, best would probably be 4 on here, right? I add a little bit of push press to it. So as soon as this is getting too tough and I can't move it, I go a little bit like, give it a little bit of a whip to move the weight. So that's another exercise. Also, again, very explosive motion. We can do the same thing, obviously, on the bench. So that's the next push motion. So I personally like to lock in my shoulder blades. So I'm squeezing my shoulder blades together, then go all the way down till the bar rests on my chest, and then I like to explode up. Does that make sense? If I had to rank all these exercises, the bench press is probably the lowest one. But still, it's very important to keep your body very, very balanced. And then, I'm a big fan of this exercise. So actually doing a reverse fly this way. I want to move this back. This is a motion that's very, very close to the motion that I also do in the golf swing. So because in the golf swing, I try to move this around and then back with a shoulder going back. So rear delt is definitely involved. So a lot involved, but that is definitely involved. So I really like doing this explosively, going back, and then as soon as I feel like I cannot go full speed or full power on this after like 3 or 4 reps, take a little break, like a micro break in between of like 10 seconds, and then do it again, 1, 2 reps. Go fast again. So these like interrupted sets or whatever you want to call it. There's probably a technical term for that. Can be very, very useful. So I'm a big fan of that. And then to be honest with you, like back in the days when I was doing bodybuilding, I obviously did a lot of biceps curls and like, don't know, triceps extensions and all that stuff. That's great for the looks. Sometimes I gotta admit I still do them, but I don't do them all the time. So this is like the very, very basic work that I do. And also for you guys out there, and also for you girls out there, because I'm over 1% females on my channel. That's amazing. It won't happen overnight. Don't be scared. That actually takes a lot of work. And those changes and how your body's reacting to it and how your body is changing, well, that's gonna take time. So as soon as you see your body change or yourself getting stronger, well, consistency is key. That's actually all it takes. It's like it probably counts for everything in life, right? Consistency is key. You just got to keep going. So then one of my favorite exercises is actually jumps. The most important bit of jumps is probably how you interact with the ground. So you got to use the ground to get up there. And I always try to imagine down there is like a very, very hard trampoline. And I try to keep the time on the ground as low as possible and boom, explode up. So I've seen some research in that field, and I've seen that like squats, like when you squat lower when you try to perform a jump, it could help you with your jump height. But when you keep like the squat a little lower, like this, the interaction with the ground and your force output into the ground is actually bigger. I don't really know if that's transferable to the golf swing or whatnot. I feel like it is. I don't know if there's any studies or whatnot, but it makes sense to me because in the golf swing as well, you don't try to squat as low as you can, but you try to squat as quickly as you can, right? That's the whole idea about the speed creation in the golf swing. So that's why, boom, I try to keep the interaction with the ground as short as possible, time on the ground as short as possible, boom, explode back up again. So in the very beginning when I do these, I just warm up like this. No interaction with the ground, just a bit of warm up. Later, I love these death jumps. So I actually jump down, keep that interaction with the ground as short as possible, use it as a trampoline, and jump back up again. Something like this. Oop, that was close. Something like this, something like this. Boom. And then there's other types of jumps. You've probably seen this one in the Regency video when I'm coming from the side and I'm doing this like half rotation, boom, and jump up. Back in the old days when I was playing basketball, so it's about like this one long step, then a short step, boom, and explode up, like going boom. I love doing these. So then also, I don't do too much of this. So it's not like I'm trying to do 100 reps of these or whatnot. Absolutely not. It's a max of like 5 sets, 3 to 4 reps a set. So it's not a lot of jumps. I'm a big believer in the quality of a workout. So that's why I don't want you to spend like 2 hours in the gym and talk half the time, spend time on your phone half the time, but actually work out and keep those sets heavy, explosive, and basically, I mean, use your rest periods, obviously. I recommend rest between like 90 and 120 seconds if you need any recommendations there. But actually doing the work, actually going to the gym and getting started. Most importantly, go to the gym, do the workout, then you're already 80% there, and then go from there. Guys and girls, because there's 1% girls out there. If you like this content, please like the video and also subscribe, because I figured right here, like 72.5% of you guys out there have not subscribed to the channel yet. So it's free, it doesn't cost you a bit, but it helps you to stay updated about the content that I put out. And if you appreciate the content, leave me a like, leave me a sub, turn on the bell, and also comment down below if you've tried these kinds of workouts, if you actually go to the gym, or if that's something you've never done before, or maybe I motivated or inspired you to actually do it. So comment down below about your fitness journey and if you feel like fitness is important to golf.